In this session, we are going to discuss the prose from Unit 5. The topic of the prose is An Unexpected Guest, written by Gerald Durrell. First of all, I would like to tell something about the author Gerald Durrell. He was born in 1925. He was a British naturalist, conversionist, author and zookeeper. Actually, he was born on January 7, 1925 in Jamshedpur, British India. Both his parents were born in India. His father was a British civil engineer and worked for India's bridge and railway system. His siblings are Lawrence George Durrell, Leslie Durrell and Margaret. And he developed a love for animals at a very young age, allegedly after visiting a zoo in India. Durrell's family relocated to England, and after some time his father died in 1928. They lived in South London, where he studied at the Wickwood School, but he did not so much interest in studies. Durrell's interest in animals grew after moving to Corfu in Greece with his family in 1935, and he started to collect local creatures as pets. Some of his famous works are My Family and Other Animals and The Garden of Gods, the later based on his experiences in Corfu. Actually, this story is taken from the book The World in the Wall, written by Gerald Durrell. This whole story is narrated by the author Gerald Durrell. Students, have you ever looked at a garden wall and found a whole different world there? Okay, let's see the story. Story of a young boy and his escapes with the inhabitants of such a wall. Escapes means adventure, inhabitants means a person or animal that lives in or occupies a place. The crumbling wall that surrounded the sunken garden alongside the house was a rich hunting ground for me. The sighest of all creatures were the most dangerous. You hardly ever saw one looked for it. And yet, there must have been several hundred living in the cracks of the wall. Okay, one day the one of Gerald's favorite place is the crumbling wall that surrounds the garden. It plastered brick. Through the plaster is cracked and moss grows over the whole thing. He spends hours watching the different creatures that stuck along the wall. Gerald is especially entranced by the scorpions that live under the loose plaster, and he finds them charming, unassuming and mostly safe, assuming he doesn't touch them. He even observes bit of their courtship rituals also. One day Gerald finds a female scorpion covered in a mass of tiny babies. He decides he must capture her so he can watch the babies grow up. He was delighted by the scorpion family, so he traps her in a matchbox and heads for the villa. It was unfortunate that just as he entered the door, the lunch should be served, and he placed the matchbox carefully on the mantelpiece. A mantelpiece means, actually, the female scorpion was agitated and nervous because it had been shut in a small matchbox for quite some time. So she was waiting for the first opportunity to escape. When Larry opened the matchbox, she hoisted herself out with a great rapidity, her babies clinking on desperately, and scattered on the back of his hand. Being unsure of what to do next, she sat there and her sting curved up and her ready. Larry, feeling the moment of her class, glanced down to see what it was, and from that moment on things got very confusing. He uttered a roar of fright that mad. Lugatia dropped the plate. Lugatia is his sister, and brought a Rosa. Rosa is their pet dog, out from beneath the table, barking wildly. with a flick of his hand. Flick means a sudden quick movement. He sent the unfortunate scorpion flying down the table. She landed midway between the Margot and Leslie, scattering babies like confetti as she thumped on the cloth. And thoroughly enraged at this treatment, the creature sped means moved along quickly and towards Leslie, her sting quiring with the anger. Leslie leaped means kudikiru, to his feet, overturning his chair and flickered out desperately with his napkin, sending the scorpion rolling across the cloth towards Margot, who let out a scream that any railway engine could have been proud to produce. The mother, bewildered by this sudden change from peace to utter confusion, put on her glasses and peered down the table to see what was the cause. And at that moment, Margot, in a vain attempt to start the scorpion, had hurled a glass of water at it. It missed the scorpion completely, but stretched their mother, not being able to stand cold water. Stretched means soaked, and she lost her breath and sat gasping at the end of the table. Rosa thought that the family was being attacked and it was his duty to defend them. As Lucrezia was the only stranger in the room, so Rosa decided that she must be the one responsible for the chores, and so he bit her in the ankle. And while all the baby scorpions were hidden themselves under the various plates and bits of cutlery, as per his mother decision, while the family still shaking went to the drawing room, and the author spent half an hour rounding up the babies, picking them in a teaspoon and returning them to their mother's back. Then he carried them outside on a saucer and very unwillingly released them on the garden wall. The results of this incident were many. Larry developed a phobia about matchboxes and opened them with a great caution. A handkerchief wrapped around his hand. Lucrezia limped around the house, her ankle covered in yards of bandages for weeks after the bite had healed, and every morning showed us how the scabs were doing. After that, according to the author, the worst fallout to the whole affair was that his mother felt that the author needed to be disciplined and maybe sent off to the school or placed under a tutor to receive more education. And the mother and his mother behavior shows that she was a sensitive and caring person who knew that the animal should be treated with kindness, however the dangerous they might be. We must take care not to be upset the ecological balance, environmental balance, else we will be faced without our own destruction. We should stop this mindless pursuit for the development at the cost of our fauna and flora. We must care for them, choosing to be their protector instead of playing predator to them.